doing well. While we're waiting on folks to join, just reminding you that my website is cooped up. You can go to that anytime. I'm cooped up as my handle in all the social places. Would love a follow, and particularly on Instagram. And wherever you watch or listen to this, be sure to click the bell, subscribe button, whatever, so that you get notified whenever I come live, post new content, all that jazz. So with that, let's get to, and as a reminder, please comment away if you are watching this live. And it is working today. Yay. Hey, Mama. So big news. I'm going to talk about the big news of the day. Queen Elizabeth has passed. Yeah, that was kind of weird. I mean, it's hitting harder than I thought. So I'm not going to lie. I was texting with Carrie about it this morning. Carrie's mother is British, by the way. Her late mother is British, or was British. What's the proper thing? But I cried a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I cried a little. You did not beat Mom, Monica? She's on there first. Hi, Eric. He's at school grading papers. So be sure to comment away, and we'll talk. We're talking about the Queen today mostly. Here's the thing that is surprising to me. It is so odd to me. So I'm a big fan. I'm an Anglophile. Love all things English. The rug in my office is a giant, like 8x10 Union Jack that my desk is on. I don't know if that's respectful or not, but that's what it is. We have 2 Range Rovers. Love all of the architecture of England, everything about England. Love it. I want to live here, but I love everything about England. All things English. But I do like Mexican food better, though. But it is interesting, though, the affection that we as Americans feel for the royal family, specifically Queen Elizabeth, that even though she's not our monarch, we have literally nothing in common with her other than maybe my white skin and my English background. But just our paths would have never crossed in real life. Let's just put it that way. But yet we feel we have this great, deep affection for her, right? I think part of it is that she's been a fixture in all of our lives, the longest reigning monarch, I believe, in history, and definitely the longest living at the time of the 70 years, almost 71 years, something like that. So she was 96 years old. I mean, that's a long, long time. So I did cry a little bit this morning about it when I first saw it. I actually cried. I don't think I'm going to cry now, but it can come. It just hits me. But I cried at the part about them rushing to be with her. My eyes are watering, but it's allergies. It's not this. I promise. I would fully admit to it if this watery in my eyes was this topic. So, but like Monica says, we grew up with her. I know, right? And Eduardo de la Cruz is saying nothing. Totally agree. Nothing in common. We are not sovereign to her, but I see and I hear about her as if she was our own queen mother. I know. So I ordered this giant for my office. This giant wall thing, like one of those stick-on things, and it was called Rebel Queen. And it didn't come out right, and so I had to send it back, and it wasn't high enough resolution for them to do it again. But effectively, it is Queen Elizabeth. It's her formal portrait, and she's got like face tats, and like it's kind of a funny take on it. It's very Oak Cliff meets England. Oak Cliff is where I live, in the neighborhood where I live. In case you're not from Dallas, but it was funny. Like I just have a great affection for her, and so. I felt bad about like knowing that all these people were rushing to see her. Nothing has come out yet that indicates. I don't think she died exactly when they announced it. I think she died a little bit earlier, and they were just gathering everyone so that they could get all the operations underway to make it happen. Harry did not make it. Harry happened to be in England. He had just been doing like an expo kind of thing. I don't know, like something, I don't remember what he was there for, but some big thing he was there for, like youth conference or something. But Balmoral Castle in Scotland is her favorite place. It is so far away from everything. You have to take a plane to Aberdeen, and then you have to drive. I think Aberdeen. That sounds right. Maybe that's one of the names there. But then it's like an hour drive from there at like high speed. So it was just really, really hard for them to get there. But I think that the most touching thing was, and shocking thing is to me also is when the ones who were able to arrive, Charles and Anne were already there, two of her kids, and then Albert and Andrew and Albert's wife Sophie all arrived in the same jet with Prince William, and they drove. Prince William was driving the Range Rover. It just shocks me that they drive. And Prince Philip, her late husband, drove until he was told he couldn't anymore because he killed somebody driving. Like it's just crazy to me that they're driving. It's just like no big deal to see them driving around. But some people have been like, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? She's just a queen or whatever. I'm like, well, it is a big deal. First of all, she was queen forever. She's been in all of our lives forever. And we'll get to that a little bit in a moment. But then also, like, she's actually the head of state for Great Britain, or the United Kingdom, rather, which is Great Britain, Australia, a bunch of islands. She is the head of the Commonwealth of a ton of African countries, India, some South American. I think there's one little spot in South America. But here's the one that was shocking to me that I did not realize is, how did I never know this? And I guess, I don't know. She is the head of state of Canada also. Did y'all know that? That she was the head of state of Canada? I knew that she made visits there and that they had an affection for Canada. I guess I could have put two and two together, but maybe because Canadians speak more American sounding than British sound. Like I knew Australia because they talk funny. They talk funny. And the British people, obviously, they talk funny. All these people, basically all the countries where they have funny accents, I got it. Like if you speak English there and you have a funny accent, I knew that the Queen was your gal. Canada, I did not know. And that was surprising to me. I learned that this morning. Learned something new every day. And then also all of this pomp and circumstance is fascinating to me, that they have all these different operations. So they have Operation London Tower. Wow, God, I'm blanking now. London Tower is down or whatever. It's Operation Tower of London or London Tower. And then they have, depending on where she actually died. So she died in Scotland. They have Operation Unicorn, which is the protocols around, that's the word, protocols I was looking for also. Protocols around like where she dies and how she's transported and where she lies in state, how long that takes. All that. So she'll lie in state in Scotland because she died in Scotland. Had she not died in Scotland, they would not have put her in state in Scotland. And so she'll lie in state there and then be transported to England. And her funeral, I believe, is it's pre-prescribed. It's in 10 days, right? So next weekend, effectively. I don't know how it's either on Saturday or Sunday. I don't know how if the day of the death counts as day one, or if it's 24 hours later counts as it's tomorrow day one. I don't know how they count that, but so next weekend, basically. Eric is saying, I knew about Canada. Anything dealing with Justin Trudeau is on my radar. I agree. He is a cutie pie. My mom knew about Canada. Well, I just didn't. I don't know why. But here's the most fascinating thing about all this pomp. And then there's the other operation. It's like Tide Rising or Operation. Everything has a name to it. And that is the Operation Springtide, something like that. I can't remember what it is. But it's the operation of Charles officially going from, or not officially, he is officially, but ceremonially going from prince to king, right? Springtide, that's it. I get on this. I have all my notes written down, and the one fucking thing I don't write down is the thing that I can't remember. But here's the thing that's fascinating to me. So they've got all this pomp and circumstance, and I'm on this PR group, and this national PR group on Facebook, and someone was talking about it. Oh, I got shit done today. I got actual shit done before this happened, before all of this went down. But as soon as I found out about it, I had CNN going on my computer screen, texting with Carrie, texting with Monica. So I didn't do anything after that, basically. But what was it? Oh, in this PR group on Facebook that I'm part of, people were like, "Oh man, what a great case study in like uh, uh, protocols for crisis management and all that kind of stuff," which I totally agree. But some people were like, "Well, this is what they do. This is what they do," and I'm like, "It's first of all, it could still be fascinating if you've done it." But here's the thing: they have not, other than Queen Elizabeth, I don't think anyone alive has been involved in the changing of from one monarch to the other, and she wasn't even part of the second one. She died. She didn't have to do it, right? So literally, no one. It's 70 years ago. 70 years ago was the last time anyone did this. The world is so different. I mean, the things she has seen, all of that. Just think about when she was coronated. Uh, TV, not really a thing. There might have been some TVs, but not really. Telephones, maybe in your house or on your office desk, but not all over the place. There were people, if you had a camera, it was a hard ass thing. I mean, there was a whole setup and you had to set it up and crank it and all that kind of stuff. And then uh, no social media, no mass media, radio. I mean, that existed. But like all of these things, it was like this would have been a newsreel that you saw before a movie in a couple of weeks, maybe. I don't know how long it took to do those, but no one living has done this before, so it's all new. And also, the monarchy is much more approachable now than it ever was before, too. Before, you would just kind of hear about it, and it's like, oh, that's sad, and then do the things, ceremonial things. I was looking for a Union Jack flag. Shockingly, I do not own one of those to hang on the front of the house because I have a friend who is a something-ophile, whatever, a flagophile. He is gay, so maybe there's that sounded too close to something else. But anyway, he is. I asked him. I was like, "What is the protocol right now if you want to hang a British flag or United Kingdom flag or whatever English flag on your house?" And he said, based on our flagpole that we have on our house, we would just hang it and then put a black ribbon on it. So if you have a flag and you want to do it, so I went to Amazon to try to find one. It's hard to find one, and I need one with a sleeve pole at that because the way our flagpole works. The troubles that I have, can't find a Union Jack flag anywhere. And then watching all of the coverage today, I just see. So Matt wrote what it is. I still have no vexillophile. You just read that, y'all. Madeline is a member of the Standing Council of the Baronetage and is appointed social media head, headed up the idea of female succession for titles. So did she move one step closer to being queen? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. So Beth is saying she does not care for Charles at all. I think we should, first of all, Max on CNN was saying all morning, we don't get to choose our monarchs. He is 73, 72, 73, something like that. So we may not have him around for a long time. I don't know how long the men in their family last. I mean, the other guy did kind of look like Prince Philip looked like a crypt keeper by the end, but still. But watching CNN this morning, I love the way British people talk. I love their word choices. I love just the way they phrase things. Like I heard fancily at one point, and I heard Christiane Amanpour, whose accent is just gorgeous to me. She called someone ghoulish. I was like, I would never think to call someone, look at them looking ghoulish because there's this one photo of them rushing in and everyone looks so like just upset. So I just am like, I just love the fancy. And then just he's at hospital, or he's at university. Like the way they just don't use articles before certain words just cracks me up also. Like I would love to not have a British accent, but use certain things. I say process. I just like the way that sounds better. Process. I don't like process. I'll say that's the process. I enjoy that. HGTV taught me that. And then I have a Canadian client who I pick up little things from as well. Talking about Charles, like thinking about him today, how weird is it that the role of your life is dependent on your mother dying? Like you have to lose your parent in order to reach the pinnacle of what you were groomed to do in life, right? Like your life of service. Like that is just shocking to me. Like the mix of emotions, like he's finally king, but it's hard to be excited about that because your mama just died. Like that just blows my mind. And I don't care what The Crown, the movie, the TV show says. I do think that they were closer than we think. All of her family seemed to like her for the most part. I don't know they like each other, but like even Harry loved her supposedly. Eduardo is saying, do you think Americans love Queen Elizabeth not just because of her love of country, but because of her consistency, the consistency of her reign? As we go through so much change, we may like stability. So there is that. So some people have been saying, what value do they provide? I think so. My immediate first thing was stability, that they are a constant in people's lives. And because things change more in England than they do here. I mean, they go through prime ministers faster than we go through presidents, and they swing wildly, even more wildly than we do. So I think that there is that. She was never really a political character. I mean, I think that she had a lot of influence behind closed doors, and then in just where she chose to be, which I think there is a lot to that. I was saying earlier that I think this one right here, Dolly Parton, Saint Dolly Parton, is very similar in that aspect. Everyone feels like Dolly is part of their life, part of their line of thinking. But even people who completely disagree with them think that Dolly is their people. I think the same about the Queen. So, and what are you? You're a royalist, I believe, if you believe in the monarchy. Also, I think that country makes a shit ton of money just by having the monarchy. So, first of all, it's a lot of money, yes, but it is a lot of money to keep up that palace and to renovate the palace and all of those types of things as well, right? And they get, what was it? They do, I wrote it down, 2,300 official engagements a year, the senior royals do. And it ultimately costs each person in the UK 1.29 pounds per year to have a monarch. So a family of 4, it is costing you $5, £5 rather. I think that that's okay. Because how many people go to England? It just wouldn't be the same without a big castle in the middle of it and all the royal stuff. And how many people have businesses set up for that sort of thing, for the tourism, for the tchotchkes, all of that kind of stuff too. I think that they probably make out better than they think with the cost. If at the very least, it's just something to like their shtick for why you go there, and they break even. But I think that they probably come out far ahead. And I saw somewhere that Harry, before he left the firm, because here's the other thing: these people don't have like great lives. I mean, they're very posh lives, but they can't really choose to do what they want to do. Charles never was allowed to just be whatever he wanted to be. And he was always treated differently than his siblings. His siblings have so much more freedom than Charles did, because Elizabeth wasn't raising her son; she was raising the future monarch of Great Britain. Is it Great Britain or is it United Kingdom? United Kingdom is the whole. Great Britain is the English, Scottish, Welsh part, right? And then within that is England, Scotland, and Wales. Yes, I think I got that right. But yeah. But just having poor Charles having to both lose a parent and do this. So I saw this tweet though. I was wanting to show it to y'all. Let me share my screen here. So this is a tweet about like how old she was and how long she has been around. So Queen Elizabeth was 41 years old when interracial marriage was deemed universally legal in the United States. So she was like almost my age, because I'm 47, when interracial marriage was legal. The last time a human being died of smallpox, Queen Elizabeth was 52 years old. She was 35 when Sierra Leone achieved independence. When the Berlin Wall fell and Germany was reunified, she was already 63 years old. Shit, that's crazy to me. Walt Disney World opened in 1971. Monica, you'll like this one. She was already 45 when Disney World opened. Mind-blowing. When the Beatles released the White Album, she was 42. She was about to turn 64 when Nelson Mandela was released, and she was 36 when he was imprisoned. Ronald Reagan was elected when she was 54 years old. She was 15 already when Pearl Harbor was attacked. That one's kind of really deep about, she was 65 when the Soviet Union collapsed, 73 when Vladimir Putin came to power. She was born 2 years after the death of Lenin. That's crazy. And it's been a long century, as this guy is saying. History is so much newer than we tend to imagine it. We are 5 human lifetimes removed from the Protestant Reformation and 8 human lifetimes removed from the Mongol Empire, third of Eurasia. Yes. And here's the thing. This one actually blew my mind. So it is less than 3 of her lifetimes since the United States was founded, and less than 2 of her lifetimes, so like a lifetime and a half, since we abolished slavery. We were still in a fucking civil war, or we've been in a civil war 1.5 of her lives ago. Like, that is just crazy to me. So she has like 30% of the lifetime of the United States she has been around. That just blows my mind. Yes. Doesn't that blow your mind? I just cannot believe that. So, Prince Charles has been dying for this day to happen, Aaron says. No pun intended. Now he's the freaking king. I know. And there was interesting thing that they weren't sure he was going to stay Charles. He had the option to change his name to Prince whatever or King whatever. So he's going with King Charles III, though. That is what he is. I don't like King Charles that much, but I do think it would be weird if he changed his name. But King Charles III is his name. I do find it funny. I know that technically their last name is Mountbatten Windsor, but they never use their last names. Only Harry uses his last name because he's no longer one of like the main royals, right? So like the kids are Archie, Mountbatten, Windsor, and whatever the new kid's name is. What is it like, the naming of the Pope? It is, Matt. It's identical to that, in that they can choose a name that they want to be. They don't have to stick with their given name. They can choose to. He could have been King Arthur. He could have been King Ferdinand. He could have been. These are probably terrible people to be. He could have been King Henry. Whatever. So. I wouldn't change my name at 73. Can you imagine the paperwork? But yeah, that would be just really confusing too, I think. Aaron wants Oprah to be coronated as the next queen. I don't know about that. I love Oprah, but I'm not sure I want her to be queen. And then it was interesting. I saw a guy interviewing kind of on the street. It was this cutie pie American for CNN. Now I had to turn it off finally, by the way, because they're just starting to rehash a bunch of ancient looking people with bad teeth and not great. Yeah. That's the one thing about England I cannot get behind. Fix your fucking teeth. That is the thing I cannot get behind at all. Obviously. But they had this cutie pie guy, something McLean. I can't remember what his first name was. Alex, something like that. But anyway, he was interviewing these people, and they interviewed this girl, like maybe 18, maybe 22, young person, young adult, about it. And she was like, it was really flippant, like almost like, why do you have to be like that on TV? She was like, I mean, she was old. I mean, I'm sad for her family that she died, but she was old. What were they expecting? It's like, true, but you don't need to say that out loud. And then she was like, and plus, I don't believe in the monarchy. I don't like the monarchy. I have a disdain for them and all of that kind of stuff. And again, I'm like, really? So then I actually was texting with my friend Alexander about it, and he's in his lower 20s, and he was telling me, he was like, oh, Charles gets it right when it's not cool, right? And I was like, what do you mean it's not cool? And he was like, young people don't like the monarchy. Young people don't like that whole thing. They think that it's a bunch of privileged people, and that they privileged people like having a life that we can't ever have. And I was like, well, that sounds like more jealousy masquerading as disdain. And he was like, isn't everything? Scott McLean, thank you, Eric. Eric, I know that you know the hotties on all of the news hotties. You and I have the same affliction, maybe, of having a weakness for cute journalists. So, Matt is saying, I wonder how many American Airlines dollars are. I wonder how many dollars American Airlines is seeing with the number of Anglophiles who want to get across the pond in the next 2 weeks. I bet it's a lot. I bet flights have been selling out. Oh yeah, Lilibet. Thank you, Mom. Is the name Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor is the name. I love that name, Windsor. It's such a pretty name. So, and then Carrie was telling me Carrie has only watched like season 1 of The Crown and didn't really like it and stopped watching. I was like, girl, you got to watch it. It's so good. And so she's going to start over with it. But so I looked it up. I was like, have I seen all of The Crown? I'm actually still not sure that I've watched it all the way to the end. I think we started and then we didn't get all the way to the end. But season 5 of The Crown comes out in November, and they are already making season 6, which will be the final season. And the final season will be more about William and Kate and their younger relationship and all that stuff. I still can't believe we're old enough that William is 40 years old. Did y'all know that? Prince William, the second in line for the crown now, is 40 years old. Man, he has not aged super well, though. I will say the whole hair thing and all of that. I think he looks older than I do. Yeah. Interesting thing, Carrie and I were also talking about this regarding the crown specifically, is keep in mind, if you were a fan of the crown and you watched it, no one has disputed, like no one has come out against it, like hugely against it. But keep in mind, it is a fictional account of real things that may have happened. So it is like a soap opera or a TV show where the characters are real people, like people that we know or that not know, but like are in the queen, the king, all that kind of stuff. But what they're doing, what they're saying, how they did it, unless it is part of public record, it is all fictionalized, right? And then interestingly enough, Julia, I learned this. So Julia, this TV show on HBO Max, eight episodes, season 1, they're making season 2 now. I did not realize it is the exact same thing. Much of that is fictionalized. So there's this one scene where, and I'm not spoiling anything by telling you this, but there's one scene where she gets confronted by the author, this feminist author, Betty something. Oh, what's her name? Wrote Feminist Mystique, which is like one of the early writings of the feminist movement, and was confronted Julia and was like, you're doing a disservice to women. It's horrible what you're doing. You're chaining women to their kitchens and all that stuff. And it really, really affected Julia to the point where she quits the show, all that kind of stuff. And that might have been a little spoiler. I apologize, but Betty Friedan is her name. Yes, Eric. And so I looked it up. That never happened. Betty Friedan and Julia Child, to anyone's knowledge, never ever met. They both went to Smith College, a couple years apart from each other, so they may have met each other on campus. But that confrontation. Now there were other people that criticized Julia Child for that because feminism has waves, and the first one was trying to jettison all things that were women's responsibilities, and make women more manly, right? And then there came the like equality part of it or whatever. And then like third wave is women owning their sexuality, owning and having choice. Like now it's equally feminist to stay home because you have the choice, or to go to work. It's not, there's no shame in that, right? So, but yeah, interesting on Julia. I don't think that just was really interesting to me. And then here's another thing on the PR front. You know who had the best day ever? Well, maybe not best day ever, but best PR day ever? Steve Bannon did. So Steve Bannon, the Trump advisor, owned Breitbart, one of the owners of Breitbart and all of that. He turned himself into authorities this morning, shortly before she died, turned himself over to authorities for indictment for fraud charges because he's defrauded people collecting money for the border wall that then actually didn't go to it, all that kind of stuff, right? So under normal circumstances, that would be splashed all over the front of every newspaper. It'd be all the things that all of the news channels are talking about, all the political shows, all of that kind of stuff. He's going to be maybe on page 1, but probably not. He's probably going to be not on the local news, not on anything like that. So he got off. Well, he didn't get off scot-free. He's still getting indicted. But in terms of the PR stuff, today is the kind of day that if you have bad news, release your bad news. If you have PR, bad news, release it today so that it gets buried. That is like PR 101 right there. So Eric is saying he remembers watching Charles and Diana's wedding in 1981 when he was 7. Oh, a little homosexual. Can you imagine if she had died last week? Last week was the 25th anniversary of Princess Di's death. Can you imagine if she had died last week? What a weird, that is so strange to me. I'm also curious, do you think that they're going to say how she died? I mean, she was old, right? But 2 days ago, she was meeting the prime minister, the new prime minister, and officially welcoming her into the government or blessing. I don't know what the phrase is for it, but she meets with them, and it was the first meeting of them and all that stuff. And she looked old, but not terribly old. If you've seen the picture of them together, by the way, the new prime minister is 5'3", so she's the little wee person, and Queen Elizabeth was like this tall next to her, even taller, smaller person. But wouldn't it be the biggest controversy ever if that woman, whose name I can't remember, she's so new, I don't think I should be expected to know it, so don't come for me as being illiterate on world affairs. Wouldn't it be crazy if it comes out that she gave Queen Elizabeth a virus like COVID or something? I know she just had COVID, so I don't think she got that, but wouldn't it be crazy if Liz Truss, thank you, Matt, wouldn't it be crazy if somehow that visit 2 days ago, she gave her a terrible cold or something and then offed her? Conspiracy theories. Alrighty, well, that's all I have got for the day. Let me make sure that I did not miss anything. And I'm so glad the technology is working again today. Okay, so I bet The Crown is going to get a lot of people watching it right now. I bet it is streaming. I may restart it. Maybe not from the beginning, but I know that I'm pretty sure I've not seen all of season 4. I can't remember all of season 4, but I do like the later seasons better, the ones with Olivia Colman. I like them better than the early ones. I just like Olivia Colman better than Claire. What's her name? Anyway, and I love Helena Bonham Carter as Princess. Why can I? It's names, y'all. Literally, if I end up with Alzheimer's or something, it's just going to be names. Hopefully, it's not like early sign of it, because those are what fall out of my head so easily lately. Names. So, alrighty. Well, with that, are you going to do a special show with color commentary during the Queen's funeral? I should. That would be funny. With Carrie, she knows all the stuff too. But what if I do the commentary? The first thing I'd be like, "Ooh, look at those Range Rovers! Oh, I love those Range Rovers." I also, one of the things that cracks me up so much on royal events now is that if you're not a senior royal, if you're a lesser royal, which is the most tragic thing to be called, a lesser royal. I mean, you're still royal, but still, if you're called that, they literally load you up into vans to transport you around. You don't get into all of that. So, and the hats too. Thank you, Matt. So, alrighty. Well, I love you. It's important to know you are loved. I love that you watched this. Thank you so much for letting me process my emotions today. I probably won't cry anymore today about it, unless I see a particularly sappy thing, which I'm not watching anything else about it. But I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, at 4:30 for another episode of Cooped Up Live. Should I say, talk to you later. Bye.